Have you noticed that your Instagram feed looks a little different lately? Less blurry photos of late-night shots and more aesthetically pleasing mocktails, morning runs, and sober October updates? You aren't imagining it. There is a massive cultural shift happening right now. Millennials, the generation that arguably popularized the craft beer explosion and rose-all-day culture, are suddenly breaking up with booze. It's called being sober curious or living a damp lifestyle, and it is completely reshaping how we view health. But why no? And more importantly, what actually happens to your body when you stop drinking, even if you weren't a heavy drinker to begin with? Today on Staying Healthy Tips, we're diving into the science and the psychology behind why millennials are dropping the bottle and the surprising health benefits they're finding on the other side. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We focus on practical changes for a longer, happier life. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our weekly deep dives. So let's look at the data. Studies show that Gen Z and millennials are drinking significantly less than previous generations. But this isn't necessarily about recovery in the traditional sense. It's about optimization. For a generation that is obsessed with skincare, mental health, and productivity, alcohol is starting to look less like a social lubricant and more like a barrier to feeling good. Let's break down the 3 main reasons this shift is happening. Reason number 1 is something you might have felt, but didn't have a name for: Hangxiety. We used to think of hangovers as just a headache and nausea. But for many, the psychological effects are worse. Alcohol affects your brain chemistry by spiking GABA and suppressing glutamate. When the alcohol wears off, your brain tries to rebalance by dumping a ton of anxiety-inducing chemicals into your system. For a generation that already reports high levels of burnout and anxiety, that Sunday morning panic is simply not worth the Saturday night buzz anymore. Millennials are essentially saying, life is stressful enough. I don't need to borrow happiness from tomorrow just to pay it back with interest. Reason number 2 is vanity and vitality, specifically sleep and skin. We now know, thanks to neuroscientists like Matthew Walker, that alcohol is not a sleep aid. It is a sedative. It might help you pass out, but it fragments your sleep and blocks REM cycles. If you track your sleep with an Oura Ring or an Apple Watch, you've probably seen this. You have a few glasses of wine and your restorative sleep score tanks. Then there's the skin. Alcohol is a diuretic. It dehydrates you aggressively. It also causes systemic inflammation. When people stop drinking for even 30 days, one of the first comments they get is, "You look younger." That puffiness around the eyes disappears, the redness fades, and the hydration returns. For a demographic spending hundreds on anti-aging serums, cutting alcohol is actually the most effective and cheapest skincare routine out there. So, what happens internally when you commit to this? Beyond just no hangovers, here are the surprising physiological changes that happen within weeks. 1. The liver rebound. Even moderate drinking puts stress on the liver. The amazing thing is the liver is the only organ that can regenerate. Within 4 to 6 weeks of abstinence, fatty liver deposits begin to reduce and liver enzymes normalize. Your body's filtration system gets a total reset. 2. The dopamine baseline. This is the big one. Alcohol floods your brain with dopamine. Over time, your brain gets used to that high level, so everyday things like a sunset, a good meal, or a conversation feel boring by comparison. When you quit, your dopamine baseline resets. Suddenly, you find genuine joy in small things again. You have more natural energy because you aren't riding a chemical roller coaster. 3. Metabolic health. Alcohol pauses your metabolism. When alcohol is in your system, your body prioritizes breaking it down over burning fat or carbs. By removing it, many people find their weight stabilizes without even changing their diet, and their blood sugar regulation improves drastically. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't want to quit forever, that's okay. That is exactly what this movement is about. It's about being sober curious. Maybe you just stop drinking on weekdays. Maybe you switch to the incredible variety of non-alcoholic beers and mocktails that are available now. The goal isn't necessarily perfection, it's mindfulness. It's asking yourself before you order a drink, do I actually want this? Or is it just a habit? The narrative that you need alcohol to have fun is outdated. The new definition of fun for millennials is waking up on a Sunday morning feeling refreshed, anxious-free, and ready to tackle the week. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you tried a sober October or dry January? What was the biggest change you noticed in your health? Let's chat down below. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who might be curious about this lifestyle. Thanks for watching Staying Healthy Tips, and here's to your health.